Opening day for the 2023 MLB season is officially less than 100 days away, and it's safe to say the league is going to look a lot different this year. This offseason featured one of the most stacked free agency classes we've ever seen, causing lots of teams to get significantly better. The Rangers landed Jacob deGrom, the Padres got Xander Bogaerts, the Phillies got Trey Turner, and the list goes on. But the one team that missed out big time is the San Francisco Giants, and they didn't just miss out. Their fans were victims of one of the most heartbreaking off-seasons a fan base has ever had to endure. Before I get into it, welcome to the War Room, a channel where I discuss all things sports related. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get straight to it. Ever since the Giants dynasty won 3 championships in 5 seasons from 2010 to 2014, they haven't had lots of success, making the playoffs twice and losing in the NLDS both times. After finishing 2022 81 and 81, they were in a great position to add talent to their roster this offseason, compete with the Dodgers and Padres super teams in the NL West, and maybe get into the postseason to make another run at a championship. And on December 6th, it looked like the Giants made a huge move, bringing them one step closer to that goal. MLB reporter Jon Heyman tweeted that Aaron Judge was headed to San Francisco. Aside from the funny typo that MLB Twitter has been making fun of since this happened, this tweet that Aaron Judge was joining the Giants was 100% false. Heyman tweeted again just 7 minutes later, apologizing, saying that he jumped the gun on the news. The thing is, during these 7 minutes, apps like Bleacher Report and ESPN, plus hundreds of writers across the country, were releasing articles and notifications that Judge was now on the Giants, which were all not true. After Heyman apologized and it became clear that Judge wasn't with them yet, it still kinda had the feeling that the two sides had to have been somewhat close to a deal for a guy like Jon Heyman, who may or may not be a reliable source, to break the news. But following this blunder, there was literally no news from anyone to suggest that the two sides were ever close to a deal at all. Then one day later, on the 7th, Aaron Judge re-signed with the New York Yankees for 9 years, $360 million. Meaning for a full 7 minutes on December 6, 2022, Giants fans were under the impression that the 2022 AL MVP was headed to their team. But this situation ended with the Giants missing out on both Aaron and Aaron Judge, an absolute travesty. The way this scenario played out is sad enough for Giants fans in and of itself, but this was only the beginning of the heartbreak. 8 days later, on December 15th, one of the Giants' best starting pitchers, Carlos Rodon, was now signing with the New York Yankees for 6 years, $162 million. In 2022, Rodon was 14-8, had a 2.88 ERA with 237 strikeouts, was an All-Star, and finished 6th in the National League Cy Young voting. This maybe wasn't as much of a shock that he left once he opted out of his deal, but still, it's another big blow to the Giants roster. But it didn't end there. 2 days before Rodon signed with the Yankees, there was a massive signing the Giants made, which softened the blow, and it was shortstop Carlos Correa to a 13-year, $350 million contract. In 2022, Correa batted .291 with 22 home runs and 64 RBIs with the Minnesota Twins. It wasn't quite the 131 RBIs, .311 batting average, and American League record 62 home runs that Aaron Judge had in 2022, but at least they weren't walking away from this loaded free agency class empty-handed. All Correa had to do was complete his physical, which everyone passes. Then he'll be ready for the introductory press conference where the franchise welcomes him to his future home. Simple as that. Well, I guess not. Yesterday was the day that this press conference was scheduled to happen. However, 3 hours before Correa was going to put on the Giants uniform, there was a problem. The press conference was postponed due to an issue discovered during his physical. Multiple people within the Giants organization flagged the same issue, which is again usually no big deal. They just wait a few more days until everything is good to go, and then they make the signing as expected, right? Wrong. 12 hours later, Carlos Correa signed a 12-year, $315 million contract with the New York Mets in the most unexpected move by far this offseason. At first, some people thought that Correa turned his back on the Giants and the team was under the impression he was still going to sign with them once they worked out the problems with the physical. But the fact of the matter is, once Correa failed the physical, he once again became a free agent who can sign anywhere. The Giants didn't make any new offer to Correa in the 12-hour span before he signed with the Mets, so now he's gone. Carlos Correa's agent is the famous, or to some people infamous, Scott Boras, who has the reputation of getting the largest possible sum of money for his players. You can call this a BS move, but maybe he felt that because of the failed physical, the Giants were going to try to get Correa for less money and he wasn't having that, so they left. but that's just me speculating. The Giants aren't allowed to disclose medical information, so I can't tell you exactly how serious it was and how it might have affected any new negotiations, but nonetheless, that is now 3 star players the Giants could have had that are gone at the expense of New York teams. In the case of the Mets, Steve Cohen has been spending money like we've never seen before. The Mets have spent a future total of $800 million on this offseason alone. Since they're over the league threshold for the maximum amount you can have for a payroll, they will be taxed pretty heavily, and once all the taxing is said and done, the team the Mets are fielding in 2023 will cost about $500 million. Truth is, I could make a whole video about the Mets and how Steve Cohen's spending spree is something we've never seen before, but I already did 2 weeks ago, so check out that video as well. But back to the Giants and their shitty offseason. It's one thing to be competing with other teams for a free agent and someone outbids you or the player just finds another destination more attractive. It's another completely different thing if you thought your team signed a top free agent, you thought everything was 100% official, and then that player ends up signing with another team twice in the same offseason. The Correa one is crazier than the Judge one because Correa was just hours away from putting on the jersey, while Judge was just misinformation on a tweet. But just imagine the thrill Giants fans felt when they got both of these notifications thinking they were landing a superstar. So I kind of feel bad for Giants fans, though these storylines are kind of funny, I have to admit. How do you guys feel about this situation? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.